Hey, I'm Mike and this is Porty's Chop Shop. In this video I'm going to go over how I made this front lip for my Datsun 620. I'm actually remaking this one for the second time, which is why the thumbnail looks a little bit different from what you see right now. But I figured, why not bring you guys along and show you how it's done. So let's go! Okay, at this point you really want to focus on getting this corner lined up. That's the nicest thing about this lip, is the way that it wraps around from the valence to the fender. So really focus on getting that done. You can clamp it or tape it or zip tie it in place or whatever. Don't worry too much about the front right now. So that will kind of mold up like that. And then it wraps around like that. I'm at a bit of an advantage because I already had tabs welded on the back of my valence and fenders. So what I would do is just mark out locations, like one on the fender, and then I think I have 3 on the front valence on each side. So mark out some locations. I just made some really simple, very easy, and I did this years ago, so you can do it with just a super basic welder, a couple of spot welds. Just find some locations where it'll go through and then tack them in place, and then you'll have a place to clamp it to. And then just make sure that they go back far enough to where that they overlap the top of the lip there. So see, those aren't good welds or anything like that, but they ain't broke, so I ain't gonna fix them. All right. Now that we have that corner lined up where we want it, I'm gonna mark out right here this center of this right here. And one mistake to avoid making is cutting this straight along the like front lip here. You want the cut to go perpendicular like this. That way when you have the 2 angled pieces coming together, they meet up in a flat line that way, so that you have one line that they meet up on, or else you're gonna have a gap in the front and then it will be touching in the back, and that's not what you want. So I'm in the engine bay now, looking forward at the back of the front valence here. And you can see what I mean. When I mark this out on the center, I want to go straight, like a invisible line, straight down the center of the truck when I mark this lip to cut. You don't want to go back straight from the front of the lip. You want to go back straight, like completely center down the vehicle. So just mark that out, and then I'm gonna make this cut just on a regular miter saw. So, or you can use a hacksaw or anything. All right. Despite my own advice, you might be able to tell there that this was cut a little off, but notice I cut less because you can always take more away while you're matching it up. So cut like further towards leaving too much, and then you'll have more to work with on that. So because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this side mated up how I want it, and then get it nice and straight so I know I have a good surface to mate the other side up to. So also just want to touch on one more thing. If you have to trim around your tension rod hooks or brackets in the front, you can shave a little bit of this away on the back side, or maybe even grind that down a little bit. You'll notice I don't have them because I don't have the factory suspension, so just ignore that. It doesn't really interfere, but you may find that you have to shave a little bit off the back of this thing, so just keep that in mind. Let me throw that line up and see what I gotta adjust. All right, with that plumb line in place, you can see a little bit like how it kind of is offset on this side a little bit. So there's a little bit more hanging off the edge over there than I want. And you can kind of see how this bottom corner piece kicks out more this way than it does go straight back. So with that like that, when I go to meet up the other piece here, they're gonna interfere in the back, and you're not gonna get this gap closed in the front there. So I'm gonna slowly cut away at that until I have what I think is a nice straight line that I can mate the other side up to. So I'm gonna work on that. All right, we got this a lot closer. It's not going to be perfect until you have both sides touching and you can like really line them up perfectly. But just making sure that you keep the corner as best you can. Like all these like little gaps and everything will close up after you get your brackets in place and then really bolt them down. So it's not perfect. It isn't designed for this truck. So just keep that in mind, and then again, just make sure that you cut this just a tiny bit at a time to get that perfect vertical line to make the other side up with. And then once you get both sides together, then you can really like finesse it perfectly. And let me show you how I did the old one. So this is the old lip that came off of the truck. Shout out to my guys Fitted out in Hawaii. This one, I just kind of drift stitched it together. So I drilled a few holes right there and then just zip tied from one side to the other. And that just mated it up, and then it kept it tight and kept it from kind of vibrating and overlapping over time. So that was able to hold it in place after bashing it so many times that it cut through the bottom. So that's a decent way to do it. I'm gonna try and probably get it a little bit closer and panel bond it on the new panel that I have. So, but this does work if you want to do it that way. Okay, I took that second piece and then marked a line on where I thought it would line up while keeping the driver's side clamped in place. And then I made the cut, and it's looking like it's lining up pretty close. So what I did was I left the driver's side clamped in place, and then just kind of made it up roughly and made sure that it was close. And then I went ahead and marked where I had my brackets. If you don't already have the brackets like I did, because I've already done this before, I would suggest trying to land on some of the provided mounting provisions. If you can, don't do the back one and don't do this one here. You might have to add a hole, but what I did was I just marked them with marker, and then I'm gonna get this side permanently mounted with the new mounting provisions, and then that will allow me to shape this side perfectly to match that, and then I'll have that nice flush seam in the front. So I'm gonna work on getting these holes cut out and adding some riv nuts to it, and then I'll continue from there. Okay, I'd left off by marking the holes that I had wanted for the brackets that I had here, and then you can see I got everyone's favorite tool and busted out the riv nut gun. So this actually worked out really well. I was thinking I was gonna have to put a washer on the top and bottom there, but it actually squishes into the plastic almost flush. It's perfect. So I'll throw 2 more of those on and then mock it up. Got both sides installed now, so let's take a look at how this looks. Looking pretty good. So the nice thing about this is you can spend as much time or as little time as you want kind of finishing this out, and you could apply some heat here to get the lip to bend up into the little cracks and stuff, or even apply like a 1/8 inch foam between the sections there just to keep dust out and kind of seal up that tiny gap there. But like I said, I just did the riv nuts and the brackets and things, and let me throw the front end together and show you how it looks. So actually I forgot the last thing that you want to do with this. Follow this curve as best you can and get a piece of tape here, and you only get 1 shot at this, so again, cut more than you think you need. So follow that line and make a nice line that follows that fender line. But that's the last thing you got to do so you don't have this little piece sticking out there. So we'll finish assembling that front end so you can have a look. And that's a wrap on this video. If you guys liked this video, go ahead and get subscribed. The few tools and parts that I did use in this video, I'll link down below. And as always, thank you for watching.